If the government gave every person in America $1 million right now, within 6 months, you'd be broker than you are today. This is a $100 trillion bill that couldn't buy a loaf of bread. This is a German woman in 1923 using money as a fire starter because it was worth less than the wood itself. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why this happened and why it's happening again right now. Look, I get it. The idea makes perfect sense on the surface. If we need more money, just print more money. More money equals more wealth, right? It's logical. It's intuitive. If you don't have enough of something, make more of it. Zimbabwe tried it. In 2008, they had unemployment, they had poverty, they needed money for government programs, so they printed and printed and printed. Within a year, inflation hit 79.6 billion%. Billion. With a B, a loaf of bread cost 300 billion Zimbabwean dollars. Workers were paid twice a day because by afternoon the morning's wages were worthless. The $100 trillion bill I showed you, that couldn't buy a bus ticket. Germany tried it. 1923, Weimar Republic. They had massive war debts from World War I. The solution seemed obvious. Print money to pay the debts. Prices doubled every few days. People burned cash in their fireplaces because it was cheaper than buying firewood. A beer that cost 4 marks in 1922 cost 200 billion marks in 1923. Workers spent their lunch breaks running to stores to buy anything at all, before their wages became worthless in their pockets. So if it's such a catastrophically bad idea, if it destroys economies every single time, why do smart, educated people keep doing it? Here's what I need you to understand. Some people believe this is happening again today. According to various estimates, around 40% of US dollars were created between 2020 and 2023 by the United States Federal Reserve, more money than exists in most countries' entire economies. The money supply went from $15 trillion to $21 trillion. That's $6 trillion created out of thin air. The European Central Bank did the same thing. The Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, every major central bank on earth fired up the money printers simultaneously. And now, many people feel like inflation is eating their paycheck. Housing prices have exploded. Your grocery bill has doubled. The dollar in your pocket buys half of what it did 3 years ago. But here's what nobody's explaining. Here's the part they don't teach you. To understand why this destroys wealth, why it makes you poor even when there's more money everywhere, we need to go back to a bakery. Imagine a tiny island. 10 people live there. There's one pizza shop that makes 10 pizzas every day. That's it. 10 pizzas, 10 people. Everyone on the island has $10 in their pocket. Total money supply, $100. Now, if you want a pizza, how much does it cost? Simple math. $100 chasing 10 pizzas. Each pizza costs $10. Everyone can afford exactly one pizza. Now, let's say a helicopter flies over the island and drops another $100. Money rains from the sky. Everyone now has $20. The total money supply just doubled to $200. Question? How many pizzas are there now? Still 10. The pizza maker didn't magically get better at making pizzas. There's no more flour, no more ovens, no more ingredients. Just 10 pizzas like there always were. So what happens to the price? $200 chasing 10 pizzas. Each pizza now costs $20. The price just doubled. Everyone has twice as much money, but everyone can still only afford exactly one pizza. Nothing changed. Well, one thing changed. The number on the price tag. But it gets darker than that, because this pizza example assumes everyone got the money at the same time. They didn't. Let's go back to your savings. Before the money printing, you had $100 saved up. At $10 per pizza, you could buy 10 pizzas with your savings. You had 10 pizzas worth of purchasing power stored away for the future. Then the government prints money and doubles the money supply. Pizza prices go to $20. Now your $100 savings can only buy 5 pizzas. You lost half your purchasing power. Your money didn't disappear from your bank account. The number is still there, but it was quietly, invisibly cut in half. Your money didn't disappear. It was taken from you. This is inflation, and it's a hidden tax. You know how income tax takes a percentage of your paycheck? Everyone can see that. It's right there on your pay stub. But inflation does the same thing to every dollar you own, and most people never realize it's happening. So who benefits from the system? 3 groups. First, the government. They print money and spend it at today's prices before inflation kicks in. They get the full value. Then they pay back their debts with inflated, cheaper dollars later. It's the perfect scam. Second, people who owe money. If you borrowed $100,000 and then inflation cuts the dollar's value in half, you're essentially paying back $50,000 in real terms. Your debt got smaller. Third, and this is crucial, whoever gets the new money first. But here's where it gets really twisted. See, that helicopter dropping money evenly on everyone? That's not how it actually works. Money doesn't enter the economy evenly. It enters through very specific channels. And the people closest to those channels get rich while everyone else gets destroyed. This is called the Cantillon Effect. named after an economist who discovered this in the 1700s. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's how it actually works. When the Federal Reserve prints money, where does it go first? It doesn't go to you, it goes to banks. Big banks, Wall Street, financial institutions, the people who are already wealthy. They get the money first. And this is critical. They get to spend it before prices go up. So the banks take this fresh printed money and they buy assets. Stocks, real estate, bonds. They're buying at the old prices, the pre-inflation prices, with brand new money. Asset prices start to skyrocket. Then the money slowly trickles through the economy. It goes to big corporations. They buy more assets, hire some people. Prices start rising. By the time the money finally reaches you, the regular person, the worker, the saver, prices have already exploded. You're getting the new money last, but you're paying the new inflated prices. You got the inflation without getting the money first. This is why billionaires got 54% richer during the pandemic while everyone else struggled. This is why housing became unaffordable right as the money printing hit record levels. This is why the stock market soared to all-time highs while regular people were losing their jobs. The rich weren't lucky. They were closest to the money printer. Jeff Bezos gained $13 billion in a single day during the pandemic. Elon Musk's wealth quintupled. The top 1% added $6.5 trillion to their net worth. Meanwhile, you're wondering why your rent went up and your salary didn't. It's not a coincidence. It's the system working exactly as designed. The Cantillon Effect in action. If you're still watching, you're probably smarter than most people because you're asking the right questions. Let me answer the three biggest ones. First, what if we print money and make more stuff at the same time? Wouldn't that work? Yes. Actually, yes. If the money supply grows at the exact same rate that productivity and goods grow, prices stay stable. This is what happened during most of the 1800s and early 1900s during periods of massive industrial growth. The economy expanded, more products were made, and carefully managed money supply growth matched it. But here's the problem. Productivity grows slowly and steadily. Real economic growth is like 2 or 3% per year if you're lucky. But printing money, that can happen at 20%, 40%, or 100% per year. It's instant. There's no way to match them perfectly. And governments always print more than productivity can keep up with. Always. Second, isn't deflation bad? Don't prices need to go up? This is what they teach you. They say if prices fall, people will stop spending because they'll wait for things to get cheaper. The economy will collapse. But think about technology. The price of TVs has fallen every year for decades. Does anyone say, I'm not buying a TV because it'll be cheaper next year? No. You buy it when you need it. Computers, phones, cameras, they all get cheaper and better, and people still buy them. Deflation is only bad for one group. People who owe money, like governments. If you're sitting on $38 trillion in debt and the value of the dollar goes up, your debt gets more expensive to pay back. The government hates deflation because it makes their debt burden heavier. Inflation makes debt easier to pay. That's why they want it. Third, don't we need some inflation? Isn't 2% the target? The 2% target is arbitrary. It was basically made up in the 1990s and everyone just accepted it as gospel. Before that, the target was 0. Before that, mild deflation was considered normal and healthy. Why 2%? Because it's low enough that people don't notice it year to year, but high enough that it quietly erodes debt and transfers wealth upward. It's not based on economic science. It's based on what they can get away with. 2% inflation means your money loses half its value every 35 years. The dollar you earned in 1990 is worth 40 cents today. That's not stability. That's slow motion theft. So if all of this is true, if printing money causes all these problems, why do governments keep doing it? Because they're not stupid. They're just playing a different game than you are. You're thinking long term. You're worried about your savings in 20 years, your retirement, your kids' future. Politicians are thinking about the next election, the next 2 years, maybe 4 if they're really forward thinking. Printing money solves problems right now. It funds programs, pays debts, stimulates the economy, makes people feel like the government is doing something. The consequences? Those come later, years later, after the politician is out of office, retired, or dead. Why would a politician choose hard choices and spending cuts today when they can print money, make everyone happy, and let some future politician deal with the inflation mess? It's a political trap. Once you start printing, you can't stop. Here's why. The government prints money, the economy grows artificially. People get used to that level of spending, those programs, that lifestyle. Then inflation starts hitting. So what's the solution? Print more money to help people deal with inflation, which causes more inflation. So they print more, and more, and more. It's a debt spiral. Each round of printing requires more printing to deal with the consequences of the last round. And nobody wants to be the politician who says, we have to stop. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, programs will get cut. Yes, there will be a recession. That politician loses. The one who promises to print more and keep the party going, that one wins. They're not stupid. They're just playing a different game. A game where short-term political survival beats long-term economic stability every single time. And here's how they hide it from you. They don't call it printing money anymore. That sounds bad. That sounds like Zimbabwe. They call it quantitative easing, liquidity injection, expanding the balance sheet, monetary accommodation, open market operations, asset purchases. It's all the same thing, creating money out of nothing. But if you wrap it in fancy economic jargon, most people's eyes glaze over and they assume smart people have it under control. When the Federal Reserve says they're doing quantitative easing, what they mean is they're creating new money and using it to buy government bonds and mortgage-backed securities. They're printing money. But it sounds technical and boring, so nobody panics. The European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, they all do it. Different names, same game. Print money, buy assets, hope inflation doesn't spiral out of control. And this brings us to the scary part about what's happening right now. Between March 2020 and December 2021, the United States increased its money supply faster than any period in modern history, adding $6 trillion, a 40% increase. The M2 money supply went from $15 trillion to $21 trillion, $6 trillion, created out of nothing. With a few keystrokes, 40% of all US dollars in existence were created in 2020 and 2021, and you felt it. You're feeling it right now. That's why your rent is up 30%. That's why houses that cost $300,000 in 2019 cost $500,000 today. That's why your grocery bill doubled. That's why a used car costs more than a new car did 3 years ago. They printed $6 trillion and told you it was to help you. Some of it did. You might have gotten a stimulus check for $1,200, maybe $2,000 if you were lucky. But $6 trillion divided across America, that's about $18,000 per person. You got $1,200. Where did the rest go? It went to banks, corporations, asset holders, people who already had money. They got it first, they bought everything, and now you're paying inflated prices for what's left. This is the Cantillon Effect on steroids. The wealth gap exploded, not because rich people worked harder during a pandemic, because they were closest to the printer. Now here's the bigger picture. This isn't a conspiracy. There's no secret cabal in a smoky room plotting to steal your wealth. It's simpler than that and somehow worse. It's just incentives. Politicians are incentivized to spend and print because it wins elections. Central bankers are incentivized to print because it's easier than making hard choices. Banks are incentivized to take the cheap money because it's profitable. Nobody is evil. Everyone is just responding rationally to the incentives in front of them. If you want more videos that explain the things they conveniently left out of your education, subscribe and share this with someone. You know who I'm talking about. That person who always says, why doesn't the government just print money and make everyone rich? Or why don't we just cancel all debt? Send them this. They need to see it.